Thanks. That's really interesting. On the street lighting, I think there may be an answer to that, which is it's unmetered is street lighting. So they've probably just they said, look, this is how much energy we're actually using, and they'll convince whoever the supplier is, and that's probably the reason. So I'm just guessing that that's it, but that's probably it. A few thoughts, really. I'm just wondering how the council is systematically looking at opportunities in terms of energy efficiency and renewables. You mentioned Civic Centre 3 and solar on there. There's a picture of me on the roof of Civic Centre 3, slimmer, with more hair, with solar panels, and so it's great. It was a great project. I remember how it was funded. That's why I had my picture taken with it, because I had a little bit to do with that. Pardon? Oh, right, okay, fair enough. Thanks for that. So there is. I'm just so really. It's, the interesting thing is to how we're looking at this, because as costs rise for energy, because the payback period on investment reduces, and things which were not cost effective become cost effective, and so it's where that sits within the organisation, how we go through a process of doing that. And I appreciate there's asset rationalisation. I appreciate there are things we might want to dispose of that we don't want to invest in. But I get all that. But I just want to really see it and see who owns that element of decision making. So where millions need to be invested to have a revenue impact, that's done. And I don't feel I know where that is at the moment. The other question I've got is where is green electricity? Do we have a green supply? Because usually we pay a premium. In fact, we do pay a premium because when I asked the question during the budget process, I was told how much it was. And the question I asked was how much of a capital sum would that buy, which could then be reinvested into renewables in our own buildings. So we're not just paying money for a badge, we're actually using that money for capital benefit. So there's that question about green energy, because I think I've come to the view that we're paying for something that's a badge that's not benefiting us. I used to have a different view. That was when I didn't know as much as I do now. But so there's a bit of a thing to think of there. And the other thing is I just wonder about have we got the capacity? Because I asked where these things sit, but I think there could be loads of opportunities sitting there for things for us to do. But have we got the capability? Have we got the capacity? Is the industry ready to be able to do a lot of the things we need to do? So I just want to understand that, and I want to see how if the council has understood that, and it knows where if it's got capacity or to deliver projects or not. Data centres are huge areas of energy demand. They're also huge producers of heat. Lancaster City Council has put its data centre next to its swimming pool, because it makes huge sense, because it dumps the heat that is produced by the data centre into the swimming pool. So there are those sort of things, like where is our data centre, what is near it, what could the heat be used for, those sort of things really. There's loads I'd like to look at. I mean, I think the other area which I think was really, really interesting is looking at the fact that we're a huge owner of land, we're a huge owner of buildings. You look at that and think, well, are there partnerships that we could have where we could do wind projects? I know Bill would be really keen to see a lot of wind turbines all over Kirklees, wouldn't you? And things, but as would I. So I do wonder about those things. Sorry, I've gone into a bit of a rant and a ramble, I feel, but there's definitely some questions there.
So, as I understand it, there is a specific team responsible for energy and climate change matters. So there is some capacity. within the council to do that. And I think some of the things that have happened are a reflection of, work does go on in terms of trying to do that. But I suppose it's a case of there's a limited amount of capacity and it depends on the priorities the council has. I think equally in terms of the investment that's necessary in some of those things, it does come down to scale sometimes and the scale of investment required. And like you've said, sometimes you have to determine whether it's the right time to do that investment because the technology is just not necessarily developed as well, or it's going to be very expensive to do it, and the return may be into the future rather than more immediate. I think given the council's current financial challenge, that in itself is an incredible challenge to have. But nevertheless, the council's committed to climate change measures, and we'll always continue to look at what opportunities there are. Equally, we'll look to government and see what government is offering in terms of funding, because through the public sector decarbonisation project, there are opportunities there for the council to get funding to invest in measures that will improve energy efficiency. So I think it's trying to work within the resources that the council has to optimise what it can do and come at it from different ways. So the asset rationalisation piece is as much about not having inefficient property that is going to stand empty otherwise, and mothballed is of no real value to anybody, I think. Is that right?
Rachel, did you want to come in? And Councillor Davies, did you want to come in? Or it depends on what Rachel says. Yeah.
It was just to kind of just answer sort of questions from an officer perspective. So obviously with Colin Parr's departure, CAT's functions, which is environment, climate change, is going to come to me, which obviously there's a natural synergy with public health and air quality and the environmental elements of that. But equally from a corporate perspective, what it enables us to do is look at that energy team and make sure that we're investing it in the right areas based on some of the things that you've said. So, I mean, he only went last Tuesday, but we're working on trying to connect those things together so that we can really deliver that climate change action plan. And obviously from Cabinet's perspective, we've got an energy impact is always considered as part of the integrated impact assessments that we do on any proposals going forward, and obviously on any Cabinet reports. So it's certainly something that I know we could go further on, but is definitely a priority within that going forward. So I just wanted to give some officer level reassurance there.
Councillor Ramsey.